Poultry farming is very important and a growing sector, but sometimes doing poultry farming can be challenging, especially at this time when the price of feeds is very high and the profit is very less. Sometimes I wonder whether this venture is rewarding or it is a matter of making losses. But at times, when you try to cut costs on some items, you find that you are getting something out of your poultry business. Today, I want to talk about how you can cut cost in your farm and increase the profit. Welcome back to my channel and kindly watch the video till the end and feel free to ask any question and leave any comment down below. I'll be so grateful. My name is Esther from Esther Farm. Kindly subscribe, share and like the video. The following are some of the things you need to know in poultry farming so that you can cut costs in your farm. First thing you need to know is making of your own feeds. You can grow your own maize, especially if you do not have many chickens. You can plant maize and formulate your own feeds because they need a very small space to plant maize. And also, like local chickens, you can also feed them with the kitchen leftovers, and this is a way of cutting cost and you increase profit. Also, in large scale farmers, you can also plant maize because maize is the raw material that is mostly needed and it takes a large percentage in making feeds. So you can also look for a big farm and plant maize and also plant soya beans for protein, and this will help you to cut cost. Another thing you can do so that you can cut cost is by using locally available materials like used timber and iron sheet, especially for the beginners. When you are a beginner, do not invest a lot in your structures. As you continue with the venture and you start getting profit, that is the best time to upgrade your chicken coop, and now you can make the coop of your choice. In case you are prepared for the venture, you can as well construct a coop that is not so too expensive. Like this one of mine, I have also used some locally available materials because I am a small farmer and still pushing on to become a large farmer. That is why I have constructed a structure that is not so expensive. In case you are a beginner and you do not have money to support the farm and also to buy feeds, you can also use these jerry cans and drinkers and feeders that are not too expensive so that at least you have money to do the other things in the farm. You can also use gutters and make your own feeders. You find that when people are starting their business, they want to buy very expensive things and equipment, but you find that they are using a lot of money and maybe you don't have all that money. So what I can urge you, if you are a beginner, start with cheap things, start small with whatever you have, and along the way you will grow your business. Even me, I didn't start here. I have a story to tell on where I started. So I always like encouraging people who are starting to start small and you grow gradually as you learn more about poultry farming. In any business, you need to plan yourself and know what is needed most. Like in poultry farming, you should focus more on how to get feeds and also the chickens you are going to feed because feeds take almost 70% of your money and you should plan yourself well not to be disappointed and end up selling your chickens. because of lack of capital to continue with the business. Another thing you should keep in mind is making of laying boxes. You should not use a lot of money to make laying boxes. You can use like jerry cans to make your laying boxes, because if you use a lot of money and maybe your business is very new, you find that you are going at a loss. Also, you can make such laying boxes and they won't cost you a lot of money, and they still do the work perfectly. So you should not use a lot of money for your laying boxes, because they will still do the work. You can also use other things like some people, they can use even old tires. You can put in your chicken house and they will still lay. Also, you can use other things. You can use a basin, put some clothes or grass, and they will still work perfectly. Don't hire workers in your farm. If your farm is small, you can use family members. You find that some people will employ a farm work and yet you have very few chickens. Let me tell you, chickens are very manageable, because even if you are working and maybe returning home in the evening, you only need to put enough feeds and water, and you leave for work. And maybe later in the day, you can come and see how they are faring. Or you can come back in the evening and you find your chickens are still okay. Or in case you have somebody to live at home, well and good. For me, I used to go to work and return in the evening, and they were doing okay. So you can put feeds and enough water, and you leave for a job, and still you find your chickens, they are still doing well. You can also train your children and family members how to work in the farm, how to feed the chickens. In case you are not around, they can do the work and do it perfectly. You find that some farmers can employ a worker, and maybe the children are there and also some family members are there. You can train them to work, and this will help you to cut the cost and increase the profit, because you are not paying any worker. Another thing to consider is consistency in the market. Have your produce all the time to keep the business moving. If you are dealing with chicken for meat, make sure you have your chickens ready for sale. In case you sell the frog, make sure you have another bunch almost ready for market. And this will make you to be consistent and maintain your customers. In case you are dealing with eggs, make sure you have your eggs all the time. And if you decide maybe you are selling day old chicks, plan yourself well in order to keep your customers. Another thing is you start small. In case you don't have enough knowledge, make sure you start with few numbers depending on your pocket. You can start with maybe 50, 100, 200, depending with the knowledge you have. You can start big and you end up losing your birds. And this is also a loss. And maybe you also don't know about diseases and you start losing your birds. As I always say, it is good to start small and you grow gradually, especially if you are a beginner. I like advising beginners so much not to make this mistake and lead you to huge losses. I have a friend who started with 1,000 chicks and the structure was very expensive, but it reached a time her birds started dying because of a certain disease that was in the farm. And she had very little knowledge about raising chicks. Let me tell you, she incurred a lot of losses because of starting big instead of small. So be careful when starting, whether you have enough knowledge or whether you have enough money to feed your chickens until they start laying. Thank you so much for hanging with us, Esther Farm. I hope you have learned something, and if you find this video helpful, kindly subscribe, share, and don't forget to like the video. It is bye for now. May God bless you and have a great, wonderful time.